This is my Magicka Sorcerer build for the Deadlands DLC. Hopefully a lot of this will carry over to Ascending Tide as well, so this shouldn't outdate too rapidly. Most trial groups will need at least one Sorcerer in there for the minor crit chance buff that they provide to the group, and they also have really strong single target damage as well. So we're going to go through the gear, the setups and the rotations that we use to hit a 113k pass, and also just some of the sets that I use in content such as VK hard mode, cloud rest and things like that. So if we look at the stats and setup and things like that, we're going to put all 64 points into Magicka. We've got quite a bit of crit chance and such because of the kilt, and some decent resistances that will go up because we are on a sorcerer. We do have the sustain by suffering bite should we need it, but you don't really need that because that's getting phased out next patch. The thief mundus, and then relieve using gasset eyeball, food or backstabber. We are a dark elf. You can use high elf and Khajiit as well. Dark elf is some good future proofing though for as skills start to hybridize next patch, because obviously they'll have weapon and spell damage. For gear, we're using kinras daggers on the front bar, Nirnhund main hand and a charged offhand with flame and poison enchants. We've got a Inferno staff from the Maelstrom set on the back bar, either perfected or not, infused with a weapon damage glyph. A light slimecraw helmet in Divines with a Magicka enchant on it. Bahsei's, perfected or not, all Magicka enchants, all Divines. On the jewellery, it's all bloodthirsty trait, all with spell damage enchants. And then we've got the Harpooner's Wading Kilt with Magicka enchant in Divines as well. For your glyphs on the front bar, it doesn't matter which weapon's on which, as long as Nirnhund is in the main hand, poison and flame can be on different ones. If you're using an Inferno, which I've not got the Inferno on me, rip, use a poison enchant for your chance of getting minor breach. Just to sort of buff the penetration there. Next up, let's take a look at our skill bars. So we haven't got a lot of bar space with the sword because we have got some duplicate skills, but our main spam ball is going to be crystal fragments. It's got 0.8 second cast time, so it can take a bit of getting used to weave this, but you will get in a rhythm for it eventually. Does quite a bit of damage, and then we have a chance of it turning pink, in which case it'll instant cast instead of a 0.8 second time, and it'll do more damage. Gives us cost reduction for our abilities, does a lot of damage. Those pink frag procs are what we're going to be looking out for in execute as well. The more of them we get, the better. Danger at prey, you want to keep this up at all times, but you want to let it run out. So when it runs out, it'll explode. If you keep it up and overlap it, you'll lose a lot of damage. So keep it up, but always let it run out before you recast it. This makes your pets do more damage and also chooses what your pets attack. So if you've got multiple targets, you want your pet to attack one thing, danger at prey that one thing, and your pets will attack that instead. Just make sure, like I say, you're letting it run out so it pops rather than recasting it. You've also got Mage's Wrath, this is at execute, so we start using this at 20% of the target's health, so we get that double explosion. In execute, you will be using this, but making sure we get the pink frag procs. We've got Volatile Familiar, this is the pet that we do cast in our rotation. Be careful casting it in content though, because it does CC enemies, which can make the tank hate you. And then Tormentor, which we don't ever cast, it just sits there, giving us 3 DPS, just flapping about. Our ultimate on the front bar is going to be Flawless Dawnbreaker for the Fighter's Guild passive spell damage, but also we're going to cast this just before execute starts to buff our spell damage in execute further. On the back bar, we've got Unstable Wall of Fire, good cleave when it pops, and also it lets our bonus from the Maelstrom stuff work. Scalding Rune, powerful dot from the Mage's Guild skill line. Barb Trap as source of minor force and a bit of a bleed as well. I want to keep this up at all times. And then both our pets and the Greatest Storm Atronach. So this is the ultimate we're going to cast the majority of the time. You do have to double bar both your pets, so make sure they're on both bars. The Atronach can just be back barred and gives a good synergy as well, where it can give your teammates Berserk as well. You can swap out Rune for Entropy if you need an extra heal. It's cheaper as well, so if you're struggling to sustain Rune, put Entropy on, but you will get a slight damage loss. Or you can put Orb in its place in content if you need like a lot more cleave, because Sorks do suffer from a lack of cleave. Predominantly single target. You can also put on Boundless Storm if you need a resistance buff and a bit of a speed boost as well, and it also gives that a bit of passive AoE damage as you're running through. So I use this in Shield of the North Prog and things like that where I need to be a bit tankier. So let's quickly blast through the passives. Most of these are going to be just a pick this sort of job, but in Dark Magic we want Unholy Knowledge for the extra cost reduction. Blood Magic, bit of a heal every time we cast shards, which is nice. persistence, so when we block, make things cost less, which is always nice. And then this is the main one we want, so this is why you want to soak in each group, to give you that minor prophecy to increase the spell critical rating of the whole group. Make sure you've got that. For Daedric Summoning, you want rebate, just more restoration of resources, so every time Daedric Prey pops, you get a bit more back. Power Stone, Daedric Protection, and Expert Summoner, you want to get all of those, they're all super useful to have. Storm Calling, again, we want all of these to increase our magical recovery, damage done, so that we can do a bit more damage pre-execute and to increase our weapon and spell damage. You definitely want all of those, super useful. For dual wield, if you're using daggers, you definitely want Sorter, dual wield expert, and twin blade and blunt. You also want ruffian for content, but that doesn't work really much on the dummy. Destruction staff, you want all of these for the extra chance to apply status effects, for your extra spell penetration, and obviously the bonus of having an inferno staff for your single target damage. Light armor, you want all of them. Medium, as a minimum, you want dexterity and agility for the actual damage buffs. Fighters Guild, you want Slayer, Intimidating Presence, and Skilled Tracker to boost all your stuff, like your damage and your weapon and spell damage and the damage of trap as well. Mages Guild, we want all of these as well because we are casting those abilities, so reducing the cost, increasing the duration, improving our magical recovery for even having them, and then obviously granting us empower every time we cast Scalding Rune. You want both your Undaunted skills for the extra synergy return and for the extra stats, and then whichever race you pick, you're going to want all of the racial passives as well. For Alchemy, you also want full medicinal use so that we can use pots on cooldown and never lose that buff. So let's go through the rotation slow time. This is written in the description. There is going to be a pause video after this so you can see it in action at full speed. Not saying it's going to be a perfect rotation, but it's what I hit the 113k pass on. So you'd pre-dump all your mag and have a pot about 30 seconds in so it's ready to be reused. You took your atro out of group so it doesn't start combat. You'd cast Trap on the dummy, then swap and start your light attacks with Prey, Wall, Scalding Rune. You're going to cast Frags until Prey pops. Reapply it. Frags again until it pops again. Reapply it. Cast Scamp, swap bar, Wall, Rune, Trap. Now from here it's going to change a bit, so you're going to cast Frags until Prey pops, reapply Prey, cast Frags until it pops, reapply Prey, Scamp, Wall, Rune. You notice I didn't cast Trap because we're now casting Frags until Prey pops and then casting Trap dynamically in place of another frag. Always recasting Prey when it's popped, Scamp, swap back to Wall, and then as and when we need to, swapping out the frags for a trap if we need to. If we can get a whole run through where we don't need to, we can do it on the back bar like we did before where we do all three, because we can still have 3 skills on the back bar and still get back in time to reapply kinras. But we're going to run through over and over and over until execute. So execute is where the rotation will change a little bit. So there you're going to cast from 20% Mage's Wrath instead of frags, but still cast purple frags. And then from 15%, you're only going to cast Wall, Trap, Wrath, and frags. At about 20 to 25%, wherever you get it ready, you're going to cast a Dawnbreaker instead of Atro as well to buff the damage, and recast Dawnbreaker at any opportunity that you should get. So the rotation is the same the whole way through until you get to execute, where you will drop it down. So like I said, with this rotation, we did manage to hit 113.4k. Quite a bit of crit orange in here, I'm not gonna lie. But this is a video just sort of, it skipped off the first few seconds because my Xbox only recorded 3 minutes, which is a big rip. But you can sort of get a see and a feel for how it sort of weaves together, so you can see how the weaving speed changes depending on whether it's a purple or a blue frag. You can also see how I'm dropping frags for trap as and when I need to, using Prey and Scamp to get a clean bar swap, and trying to use a purple frag if I do need to swap mid-rotation. Swapping out frags for a trap or an atro or a dawnbreaker as it's ready, all the way through until it's dead. And you'll see at 20% I swap to, like I say, Mage's Wrath instead of frags, and then at 15%-ish you'll see me swap, so I'm only casting the 4 skills over and over until it is dead. and that is my mag sword build. Hopefully that's been useful for you. My other content has to die on its arse, but my build video has been really, really popular. So thank you for your support on like the Nightblade and the Warden videos so far. Next will probably either be the Magicka or the Magicka, depending on which one sort of seems more popular and more in demand. Hopefully this has been useful. If there's any sort of questions you've got, if you want to know anything else, if you want to make any sort of suggestions, comments, or share some love, or call me a dickhead, or whatever you want to do, please do drop me a comment. If you are going to flame me, you have to like and subscribe, it's the rules. I've also got my Twitch stream, which is over in the description of this and in my video as well. Much appreciated. Most of my views aren't subscribed, so if you could subscribe, that would make you hella sexy, and I'd really appreciate it. But until the next time, thank you very much.